All right, folks, welcome back to Factor Talk Radio. Our surprise guest is one of the biggest influences in terms of my political conservative views, my own father. Dad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. What a nice intro.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your 1 year on radio. You're doing an awesome job. Your mom and I are extremely proud.
You know, I don't know if you remember when I appeared on the Glenn Beck program. Glenn Beck asked the audience a question. He said, "How many of you have gotten your political views from the media?" And no one raised their hand. "How many of you have gotten them from a teacher?" And no one raised their hand. And then he asked, "How many of you have gotten your political views from your parents?" And everyone raised their hand. Do you think that this is, I mean, why do you think that so many kids get their political views from their parents?
Well, I don't know. That's a very good question, and I think that's very interesting because I think a lot of parents at this point are really misinformed or unengaged in political views, and so how they get it, I don't know. All I can tell you is, how I got it and how I was brought up and how it influenced you. You probably just watched me watching the news.
And yelling at the news.
That's right, getting very upset at what they were saying and, and just listening and you asking questions of me or Mom and just living our lives, the way we do and that's it. I don't know. I can't speak.
I want to talk a little some politics with you because I want people to understand your political views and then they can really understand where my influence is coming from here.
Okay.
First of all, Barack Obama. We've talked a lot about this. What do you think of the guy?
I don't like the man at all, and not only do I not like his politics, I don't like the man because I believe, and I'm not a conspiracist, but I believe that he's intentionally doing what he's doing to reshape,
fundamentally transform
the United States into some perverted version that he holds, and it upsets me greatly because he's dangerous. I believe very, very dangerous because of the policies and whatnot that he's implemented. And, the United States, our country, is just in a downward spiral. And it's directly linked to what he has put into motion. And I believe that it's deliberately done so he could then, come out to be the hero, saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and transform it into some kind of country that we will unfortunately not even recognize.
Congress has currently has about 15% approval rating in most polls. Why do you think this is?
Well, I because I think that a lot of the people are low information recipients. They don't know what's going on. The House is held by the Republicans, but of course, the media and the president and everyone else is just pummeled them with all kinds of misinformation and just ineptness all around, and it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
I think that it's they're just fighting a unwinnable, unmanageable battle right now because the White House, Obama's in the White House and the Senate is in control, and we have the House, but they're just getting hammered.
I've said I've said a lot on my show that us conservatives we're basically fighting two battles, and this is something that's very, very important for everyone to understand in this country. All the conservatives, we're fighting two battles. We're not only fighting Barack Obama, liberalism, and the progressives in this country. We're also fighting people like John McCain and Karl Rove, people who are these establishment, weak-kneed Republicans. Don't you agree that that's another war we have to fight too?
Absolutely. There's a huge divide between the establishment and what we call, the Tea Party conservatives, the people that really want to get back to the founding fathers and how they interpret the Constitution and the ruling of this nation. Unfortunately, you have these power-hungry, people in there, that want to stay in there, and they, sell themselves out time and time again, stay in power.
Yeah.
And there is a definite battle between the establishment and the new people that want to just get back to basics, and that scares the establishment type to death.
I'm gonna bring up. We'll do a little lightning round here. I'm gonna bring up a bunch of quick topics and just give me your view on them.
All right.
All right. Small government or big government, and why?
Small government, because its history has shown us that it is shown to be more successful, and it's the way to go, and it's what the founding fathers wanted.
Favorite president in United States history?
It would have to be Ronald Reagan.
And why is that?
Well, because he came in with a disaster, and he handled it with grace and with just sheer genius, and brought down taxes, increased, the economy.
8% increase.
Yep. Boom. I mean, he just did all around was just a solid president.
Gun control. What are your views on that?
Well, I think it's a farce. I think that what they're doing now, propagandizing, and taking advantage of the Newtown, disaster is horrible. I knew they were going to do that right from the get-go. I think it's a horrible thing. I think that we have enough policy and regs in place now. They need to enforce them. I think that's where I stand on that.
What about illegal immigration?
Well, they need to do something. I think that Marco Rubio has the right idea that we need to secure the borders first, and then talk about other types of legalization after. So I'm hoping that something like that will be able to be worked out.
What about taxes?
Well, our taxes are horrible, especially here in Connecticut.
Yes.
It's a disaster, and it's getting worse. And again, all due to, I think, a deliberate push from the president with his policies and Obamacare and everything else that the man is implementing just lead to it being harder and harder to earn a living, and they take more and more and more from you.
A few more here. Obamacare.
Obamacare is a disaster. Again, it's just it's horrible on so many levels. I can't even get into it. So
I mean, you have the taxes involved in it. You have the premiums going up. You have the socialist aspect of it.
It's everything.
It's
on so many levels.
It's a massive redistribution of wealth in this country. It's a nightmare.
Everything. It is.
What was I going to ask you? Global warming. I talked about this earlier in the program. What are your views on that?
Global warming. That's a joke. Is the planet getting warmer? Well, maybe so. Have we done it? The human race. I think that's preposterous. I don't think that's we have anything to do with it. I think it's just a natural cycle. and it's been proven to be a fraud. Al Gore has proven to be a fraud, and anyone that wants to actually do some due diligence and look into its fraudulence, do it, because it's the biggest fraud that's been perpetrated on America or the world in ever, I think. Go ahead.
Two more questions in this quick lightning round. Welfare, entitlements, the whole welfare state.
It's a sad state. More and more people are anticipating and looking forward the easier road, the path of least resistance, and they're looking for handouts, and they're selling out for a type of security or safety by these handouts, and not doing what the founding fathers wanted. Hey, listen, you work hard, take some risks, and you earn and keep what you make, and we've strayed from that. So welfare is a horrible problem, and it's getting worse. And again, this is something that Obama is deliberately, really, really emphasizing, and it has, gone overboard with. Yeah, that's why Rush calls him Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus. There you go.
Yeah.
Last one. What about the interpretation and the abiding by the Constitution?
Okay, I didn't hear you. Cracked up a little bit there.
The Constitution in this country. Do you?
What about it?
For the most part, believe that these politicians should be following it strictly? Correct.
I do, absolutely, and it's not a living document. It is what it is. It's worked flawlessly for over 200 years, and we need to get back to it.
Yeah, I agree. Now, who do you listen to for your political views? Obviously, you've been influenced too, and you've got your conservatism from somewhere. Where I don't really think I've talked to you too much about this, so it'll be interesting for me too. Where did your conservative views come from?
Well, I think they were subtly ingrained in me from Pop and Grandma Bev.
Who, by the way, are my grandparents, for those listeners who don't know.
Right, and they weren't as overt as I am, or involved as I am, and they didn't discuss it like I do with you. But subtly, I mean, I knew by how they were raising, Scott and I, that we were, traditional. We had, our morals and our values and things of that nature. But as I got older, it was really Rush Limbaugh. Listening to Rush Limbaugh, who was just a breath of fresh air for me, because it just validated all these feelings that I had, that I thought were, geez, maybe they're not right, because I was either hanging around with the wrong people, or they, I was listening to the wrong news or whatever. But Rush Limbaugh was a huge influence with me, and that made me want to investigate and listen and read more about, conservatism, and tune into other conservative talk shows and or readings and so forth.
Last question for you. Do you? I can't believe I'm phrasing this in the way that I am. Do you think that this generation and the future generation of America is screwed? I mean, you've heard the liberals that I've dealt with on this program. Are you optimistic about the future of this country? Or are you pessimistic, and why?
Wow. Well, you know me. I am the eternal optimist. I'm a glass full kind of a guy. So I remain optimistic that the people are going to see through what's happening now, and the pendulum is going to swing back the other way, because what could happen is really, really horrible.
But what about the
It's
youth?
really, really
but
horrible.
what about the youth, though? Do you think that the youth is just completely misguided in this country for the most part?
I do, but I think that programs like you and other programs that are geared toward youth, I think that they're becoming more involved and more aware at a much younger age, which is encouraging, and that needs to grow and really, really take off, because that's the future, because that's how Obama got into office.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
the youth vote, but of the uninformed.
Yep.
You know, here comes, Santa Claus, down the chimney, going to give everything away, and kind of, and the people that are not engaged or informed say, wow, that sounds good to me. I'm in,
Yep.
So I'm optimistic. I think that regardless of what, the general consensus is that, we're outnumbered at this point. There's more takers rather than producers. I don't know. I still think that we're being led by a minority, and conservative thought and conservative traditions and principles are still the majority, and will win out in the end.
That's good. Dad, thank you very much for
Okay.
calling in.
All right. Well, thanks very much. You're doing a great job. Hey, tell Kathy she's doing a great job, too.
My call screener, of course.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Factor Talk Radio.